Oh, mere days left.
Oh, man.
And do we have any? There's sort of no consensus on what's going to win Best Picture. I'm losing my voice, by the way.
Nah, don't.
It's not some strange person who's taken Wade's place. It's just it's that season. Too much talking and
Well, yeah, and you did a
sick kids.
thing on for Spectrum Television this morning.
I did, which
was-
you hooked me up with, so thank you for that. Did a little Oscar history over at Spectrum TV. So yeah, we had our great Oscar show with the Film Week crowd at the Ace Theater on Sunday.
That was a
fun.
good show.
That was a really good show.
So people would be able to listen to that. What, today? Would it be today or somewhere this week? The Friday before the Oscars.
Friday, so they're not going to be able to listen to it now, but they will listen to it on Friday the 7th.
Friday the 7th.
Yeah, Friday the 7th.
Okay.
Yep. And then Saturday, and then it's all it's up for podcasts at scpr.org. But the Film Week Oscar thing, I don't get any sense that they're really. I mean, truly, I think there are 3 films that could walk away with it, and there are reasons why and why not for each of them. Mm-hmm. And that's Parasite, 1917, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I think that Parasite, because of that, what are they calling that category now? International.
Yeah, best international film, not foreign language anymore.
Yeah, because of its nomination there.
Yeah,
I think that undermines its.
I agree.
Its other nomination, which is unfortunate. And then we start talking about Quentin and Martin.
Yeah.
And Sam.
Yeah.
All old school.
Yeah.
Including Quentin. Because people keep saying, "Oh no, young Quentin." No, Quentin's 55 years old, and he's been making movies for 30 years. No, Quentin is a part of the.
Yeah.
No, he's not the generation of Martin Scorsese. I get that, but he and Sam Mendes are. You know, and I don't know, man. That old guard. There's something about the Academy that I feel like they want to reassert the old guard. You see them reasserting it with Sam.
I think that's so. The thing that I keep pointing out is there are 2 sort of historic things about the Oscars this year, and I may have mentioned this on the show before, which is that this is the first time ever that we've had 4 films with 10 or more nominations.
Yeah.
That has never happened. The only time previous to this that we had more than 2 was 1964, when you had Beckett and My Fair Lady and Mary Poppins, which all came in with 12 and 13 nominations.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you're lucky if you get 2, and in most years there isn't even 1.
Yeah.
We got 4 films with 10 or 11 nominations. Joker with 11 and 3 with 10.
Yeah.
That's never happened before. What's also significant is that none of those 4 are indies.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
The last time the top 4 nominated films were not indies, were either all studios or studios in something
Now
other than indie.
we're not counting Marriage Story.
Not
as an
well,
indie.
Marriage Story is not an indie. Netflix
It's
is
a Netflix film, but we're not counting it as an indie in
Nope.
the context of Noah
Nope.
and blah,
Nope.
blah, blah.
Nope.
Not an indie.
Not an indie because Netflix is a member
Which
of
is
the MPAA.
fair, because if The Irishman is not an indie, then there's no reason for me.
No.
But
So I mean, he's an indie filmmaker, but it's not
that's
an
the
indie.
only reason
Even UA in its heyday was not an indie.
Yeah.
It was a studio.
Yeah.
So the last time we had the top 4 films and no indies was 1995. 1995, Braveheart.
Yeah.
25 years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a historic year in a lot of ways.
Look, it's an odd situation. So we look at The Irishman, we look at Marriage Story, at least those 2 Netflix films. Now I look at that film. The Irishman is how long? 3.5. 3.5. A number of times that it could play in a theater, theatrically over the course of a year. I look at this movie and I see this movie as making maybe $30 million.
Tops.
It probably does not make back its budget.
No.
It is a box office failure, The Irishman, if it has to live in theaters and theaters alone.
Yeah.
Marriage Story, I have no sense of what that film cost, but again, even if it's a popular indie, I still don't see it making more than 20, 25, 30 million dollars.
That's not
it's
moneymaker.
got to be a 15, 20 million dollar film,
Sure.
right? So I still see it as a box office failure if it had to live in theaters all by itself. These are both box office failures, and in that context, I don't think either one of them get nominated for Academy Awards.
No.
As box office now, because they're on the Netflix movies, we have no sense of any sort of financial this, that, or the other thing. And maybe that's fair. Maybe that's fair that we're not talking about we're just talking about them qualitatively. But I do know this. Most folks would not have seen either one of those movies if they simply had to live in theaters, and they would not be nominated for Academy Awards.
True.
As opposed to Jordan Peele's Us.
Yeah.
Which had to live in theaters and made $170 million box office.
Huge hit.
You know?
But it was in the spring.
But it came out in the spring.
And
I'm just like, man, this is just all akimbo to me. Yeah. It's everything's sideways. Everything is sideways.
It's the one positive thing that I think is going to come out of this is that for the first time in 19 years, a studio is going to win an Academy Award, and it's for Best Picture, and it's going to be a studio other than Warner Brothers. Universal won Best Picture for A Beautiful Mind in 2001. And since then, it's been all indies except for Warner Brothers 3 times. $1 Million Baby, The Departed, and Argo. Otherwise, over that 19-year period, that is straight up 16 indies and 3 Warner Brothers.
A studio shutout for Warner Brothers.
A studio shutout. Universal, if it wins for 1917, that's its first win in 19 years, the longest drought in its history. And if Columbia wins for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that is their first win of the Sony era since The Last Emperor in 1987 when Coke owned them.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But it would make then Columbia would be the all-time Best Picture winner.
It's a very odd thing to think that the independent studio, because when we think about independence, we think about the Independent Spirit Awards, we think about those kind of, but the independent films, your Beasts of the Southern Wild, your have been the movies.
They have been
that have been occupying the Academy Award space for better part of 20 years. Better part of 20 years.
Yep, for sure.
Very interesting.
Well, let's get to it. We're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about some anime here in a moment. A lot of new anime to make mention of, but we're going to talk about what is out right now, which is an Oscar contender for sure. Parasite, Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah.
A lot of people are picking this for Best Picture.
Well, we did. I mean,
but to
Los
win,
Angeles Film Critics Association.
It's won some critics awards, National Society as well. At 1 hour, the LA Film Critics. But you know what? Foreign language films, like you said, they face that disadvantage because if you're checking your ballot, you've already voted for it for foreign language.
Yeah.
So you're not going to put it anywhere near the top for Best Picture.
Man, it burns. Yeah.
So I think it comes down to Hollywood in 1917. But
same thing can happen in the animation category, by the way. Every now and again, there'll be an animated film.
Yep.
Perfectly worthy Best Picture nominee. The Incredibles. I don't know. Pick one.
I will.
But it gets that nomination in the animation category, and that puts it out.
I'll say this. I give kudos to Parasite, which won the Palme d'Or, by the way, and was then acquired. It's being released on Blu-ray by Universal. From Neon, the distributor Neon. Neon has turned into one hell. They are the new Miramax, the new Weinstein. Neon is doing a great job. There, of course, for those who don't know, when Neon kind of came on the scene 2 years ago, really just 2-3 years ago, this is the 3rd year of Neon Films. And that first year, they had I, Tonya, the Tonya Harding thing with Margot Robbie, which kind of was their first big kabang. And they've doubled the number of films that they release every year now.
Yeah.
They are the indie to be reckoned with, for sure. It's a joint effort between the guys who used to run that Weinstein subsidiary. What was it called?
The Weinstein subsidiary.
They did all the little genre films over at Weinstein, and I'm blanking right now on what the name of it was.
Too,
But they did all the little micro budget stuff, and those guys came over and formed Neon with Tim League of Alamo Drafthouse.
Yeah.
So Neon has an Alamo Drafthouse in its DNA, in its pedigree, and its co-ownership. And they just spent a record $17,500,000.69 to acquire the Andy Samberg film at Sundance.
Oh, really?
It's
I did not even see that.
A new record. They beat the record of
was it that
Birth of a Nation.
Birth of a Nation, yeah, the Nat Turner film, yeah. $20 million.
That was acquired for $17,500,000.
Yeah.
And Neon, for the Andy Samberg film, paid $17,500,069.
I just had to.
It's the craziest thing ever,
Very
right?
Andy Samberg
It's nuts.
thing to do.
Yeah, it's typical Andy Samberg thing. I'm sure it was his suggestion. Why don't you add 69 cents to it?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
It's still odd to me that like an Andy Samberg film is a film that's selling for ridiculous amounts of money at
I know.
at that particular festival.
I know.
As opposed to,
but prior to this, Neon had not acquired for anything for more than about $6 million.
Yeah.
So that's a big step up, and that's all because of Parasite.
Because of Fair, yeah.
They're players now.
They got money.
Parasite, of course.
Challenging A24.
Oh yeah, for sure. A24 has been coming on strong for a few years, but those who don't know, Parasite is, of course, the Palme d'Or winning, Cannes Film Festival winning Korean film by Bong Joon-ho, the Korean director who has made such things as Snowpiercer. And what else is it? What other stuff's he been doing lately? Okja, that's right. I mean, he's been making things for quite a while, and he's a genre filmmaker for the most part. But here, he tells a rather lengthy, almost 3-hour story of a family of kind of lower class Korean grifters who insinuate themselves into the lives of a very wealthy Korean family without letting this family know that all these people they are progressively hiring are related. So they wind up hiring all these people in their lives, you know, the
driver,
the tutor, the driver,
yeah.
the cook, not realizing this is a family. And then it takes a crazy turn midway, which I don't personally think is convincing, but most people like it. And then it takes another crazy turn at the end, which I also don't think is convincing, but everybody else likes that too. So my issue with it is kind of it's the stuff that everybody else really loves, which I think is just sort of manipulative screenplay mechanics. But it works for people, so never mind me. But anyway, it is an incredibly well-made film. I say that. It is Bong Joon-ho directs the hell out of this.
Some great performances.
Amazing. I mean, they built this house specifically to shoot this film in. The art direction is great. The production design is fantastic. Performances are great. I mean, I love everything about this movie except, you know, the screenplay a little bit. But here's the other thing. You know, it took an Asian film... a half a century to be able to win just the foreign language category.
Yeah.
That was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That was the first ever Asian film to win that category.
Yeah.
They created
a lot of French films and Italian films.
They created it in the 50s after all these Japanese New Wave films were winning special awards. And then no Asian films won it for a half century.
Yeah.
So I don't know if 20 years after the first Asian film winning foreign language, we're ready to give an Asian film to be the first foreign film winning Best Picture.
I mean, Judo did not win.
No. I know, Judo did not win.
That's insane.
It's insane.
Raise the Red Lantern.
Did not win.
Did not win. Yes,
it's incredible. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Both those films nominated, neither one won. The film that beat Judo was that Swiss movie that's not even out on Blu-ray. We've forgotten about it. It's about like a Turkish immigrant family that dies in the mountains.
Yeah, I remember.
Everyone, like The Way Home or Over the Mountain or some damn thing.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers it.
Yeah.
The only reason it won, Barry Levinson gave it a presentation credit.
Yeah.
That's why it won.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Anyway, so Parasite out on Blu-ray with a Movies Anywhere code, so you can add that to the all the Disney films and freak out your kids. Excuse me.
Yeah, man.
This
both
has
got it going here a little bit.
no extras other than a Q&A with Bong Joon-ho, which is fine. But I'm gonna wager that there will be a special edition of this, especially if it wins any big awards on Sunday. Let's hit a bunch of anime real quickly here. We've got a 3-film collection from Shout Factory called Daunton Laughing Under the Clouds. This is a Blu-ray and DVD combo set. It's a 3-film collection with mini posters, including all the original Japanese and English dub stuff of this trilogy of films that I have never ever heard of. And it's kind of a kaiju story in a way. It's about a giant snake monster thing. And it's like some kind of mythical creature that, you know, is on, it might maybe regenerated and revived. And there are 3 different films that deal specifically with this epic story. It's quite well done, but I find it very, very peculiar. I guess you have to have been connected to the following of this thing. But it's very, very well done. It's very, very nicely done, and especially the original Japanese is very, very strong. That's from Shout Factory. It is Daunton 3-film collection. And then from the Right Stuff, and they're licensed with Nozomi. You can get more on this from nozomient.com, nozomieNtertainment.com, or rightstuffanime.com. This is AD Police, to protect and serve. Really kind of a cool. Now this is a Blu-ray disc, but it's standard definition, so it'll play in a Blu-ray player. But you're not going to get maximum resolution because it's, I guess, the original materials are standard definition. Yeah. But this is spun off from the very, very famous anime Bubblegum Crisis, Tokyo 2040. And, it's a futuristic cyberpunk police thriller. It's fine. This is 12 episodes of the spin-off series, which is fine. I don't really, it's not my thing, but... it's got criminal robots and hardcore kind of cyberpunky cops, and it's cool. I could see this being a better live action thing, though. I could see it be a much better live action thing. Also have something that's a little more kind of young adult oriented, slightly funnier, is The Magnificent Kotobuki. This is from Sentai and section 23. It's Girl Power, 12 episodes on 2 discs, a series that deals with kind of a, well, how to put it, they're like, this is like World War II era pilot girls who are kind of like air pirates. Does that make sense? Anyway, they're pilot girls, and they're badass, and they're cool, and it's all World War II era squadrons and gun and dogfights and all that kind of stuff. So you're mostly watching this specifically for the girls, for girl power and girls flying planes, and they're, to be honest, frankly, the only people who are probably going to want to watch them, especially the ones who are a little bit more clad risque, are guys. It's a lot of girl power, but I can see some dirty old Japanese men really kind of getting the hang of that.
Yeah, girl power in a completely different context. Yeah.
Then we've also got, boy, I hope my voice lasts the rest of the show, from Adult Swim. Got some anime from Adult Swim, believe it or not. 2-series collection on Blu-ray of FLCL, Progressive and Alternative Combo Pack. This is it's nothing on Adult Swim has ever really made a whole lot of sense to me, but this is 2 seasons of FLCL, and it has Japanese and English audio included, and it's it's more Japanese kind of teen stuff. It's got a lot of extras on here, and there's a documentary that gets into making of the show and all of that. But basically, it's a story of a couple of 14-year-olds and their unusual adventures on their Vespa. I mean, it's youth stuff, and you're aging them here from 14 to 17. I don't quite understand the appeal of it, but it's road trip stuff. I mean, there it is. Japanese anime road trip. Let me get down here to some other Sentai and some other stuff. 3 other Sentai titles here I want to make quick mention of. One is Tsurune, the complete collection, Tsurune. It's beautifully done, very, very sweet, very pastoral. This is all about archery, and it's very zen, and it's very symbolic, and it's sort of a hero's journey centered around the archery as a metaphor for life and mastering life, and it's lovely. It's very, very poetic. Has some very, very good extras on it. And then we have the Girl in Twilight complete collection, which is kind of more girl action stuff. This feels a little bit dated. I don't know exactly how old this is, but it certainly feels significantly older than I thought it would be. And there's a million of these things like this, and it gets very, very fantasy oriented, moving through alternate realities and whatnot. Much cooler is also very kind of cyberpunk themed, The Prince of Smiles complete collection. This is about a big mecha war and these 2 orphans that find themselves immersed in it and the drama that transpires thereof. Really, really very, very cool artwork. Super cool kind of world that they create for these particular mecha battles. It doesn't necessarily distinguish itself from anything else in the mecha universe, but it's cool. It definitely plugs in very nicely, and the character design is really cool. And then from Funimation, whole bunch of cool new stuff from Funimation. Get through some of this real quickly. There is the Zombieland Saga Season 1, which is just a straight up, kind of freaking rock and roll zombie saga. And that comes with holographic cards and magnets and a booklet and the whole thing. It's the Zombieland Saga. It's very, very cool if you like anime zombie stuff. There is also Magical Girl Spec Ops Asuka, the complete series. This is a mythical kind of semi-fantasy environment about a girl who is basically an elite soldier who can, who has all kinds of powers and obviously things from her past that'll come back and haunt her. It's pretty decent. The Morose Mononokean is season 2. Will make absolutely no sense if you haven't seen season 1. This is all about exorcism and high school. Hate it when that happens when you're in high school. And, the evils of the underworld come out and haunt you. If you haven't seen season 1, don't bother with that one. Complete series of SSSS Gridman, which is one of the weirdest titles ever. This is a really, really fancy box set. You got a keychain and you got cards and an art book, 150-page art book, and all kinds of really, really fun extras in this. The Gridman is a rather fascinating hero. This is a mecha story. Gridman is like a better version of all the giant robots that you've ever seen, but not quite as cool as what's his name? The live action. This guy.
Ultraman.
Ultraman. Thank you. Thank you. This guy, I just did that thing with my hands.
And I know what it is.
Tim knew exactly what it was.
That's just...
this is my voice, man. My voice is just killing me this week. Gridman is basically Ultraman, like a better, cooler, better version of Ultraman. You also have the Steelbook of Season 3 of Yu Yu Hakusho, which is very, very popular. The Steelbook is very, very cool and has a really great commentary on one of the songs, but it's on one of the episodes. What else do we have from Funimation here? We've got Hinamaru Sumo Part 1, which is not interesting to anybody unless they're into high school sumo. Endro, the complete series, is a kind of Harry Potter-ish in a way. It's not quite that interesting. Gave up on that. Black Clover Season 2 Part 2 continues the Black Clover saga, which is not going to make any sense if you're just picking this thing up midstream. Same thing with Dragon Ball Super Part 10. If you haven't caught up on 1 through 10, this will make no sense to you whatsoever. This is the first I've seen of BoogiePop and Others, the complete series. Not familiar with this one. No. Really interesting. It's kind of like a genre noir. It's very, very cool. A lot of mystery. BoogiePop is this kind of like a boogeyman who makes people disappear, snatches them in the night. And it's a question of what's really happening and who's happening. It gets very Sam Spade. It's very, very cool. Actually, thought that was really slick. BoogiePop and Others, the complete series. And then lastly, Season 3, Part 2 of A Certain Magical Index, which is just hugely popular, and I believe they will undoubtedly do a live-action version of this. This one picks up with World War III in full roar, and man, do they animate the hell out of it. Academy City is even impacted. And this is a kind of a world where magic is beginning to intrude on science. And in any case, World War III is animated with gusto, and this even has a really, really cool commentary on one of the episodes as well. So that is it for our anime this week. Tim, what else do we have?
Shall we do some new movies?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Including this one, which I'm really, really happy to talk about, Waves. This is
Yay.
one of the films that I was just so happy to have been able to talk about over the course of the awards season.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact this is a very good movie about it's a family drama. This family with two teenage kids, one boy, one girl. The boy is a football star. And everything looks fantastic for him. It looks like life is about to happen for him. He's vying for a position in college football team. He has his girlfriend, and events happen such as they do. The way this movie is divided is such that the first half of the movie is about him in his life. An event happens, and the second half of the movie is about the sister.
And let's talk about the two actors.
Oh my God,
the actors,
Calvin Harris Jr.
Yep.
Young man.
Who's also in Loose. Also the star of Loose.
Another
which is
outstanding film.
Totally different role.
Totally different role. Another
Totally
outstanding film. That one with Octavia Spencer. Him playing the lead character again, Loose. This young actor. And Taylor Russell. Who you and I both love from Lost in Space.
Have you been watching the new season of Lost in Space?
I have not started yet. You told me about it the other.
I'm 6 episodes in. It's really good. I don't know if it's as good as the first season, but I'm okay with it because it's answering a lot of questions.
Yeah,
like especially about her.
Have we talked about Lost in Space before? I suppose we have.
Yeah, when the first season came out.
And it's a really great interpretation. Of that series, the Family Robinson series.
What's really cool about this is that they make a point in season 2. I'll just tell you this: they make a point in season 2 that they are going to really, really deeply explore 3 characters whom they probably felt did not get sufficient treatment in the first season. You get really, really deep into Judy and Penny. Really deep. The sisters. Penny is like suddenly front and center in all kinds of stuff, clashing with mom, and you love all the other kids and because they all have talents. And it's really great what they do with Penny. Judy's relationship with her dad, which was a big question mark in the first one.
In the first one, because her dad is her stepdad.
Yeah.
And I did see the trailer for this second series, and the issue of her original father, biological father, comes up.
Oh yeah, dude,
because I love my father-daughter stuff.
Episodes 5 and 6, that's where it goes deep. It goes so deep, and it is so good. Gosh, Taylor Russell is good. I mean, she's so...
And that's what we're talking about,
and that's why we're doing this. She's the sister in this.
And she's extraordinary in this film.
She's incredible.
I noticed that the African American Film Critics Association gave her their We See You Award, which is a really cool name for an award. I imagine they're going to see her over at the Independent Spirit Awards, too.
Yep.
She came very close with some of the things that we did over at LAFCA. So, great film, great performances by those two particular actor. Trey Edward Schultz, by the way, directing this movie, which is noted because Trey Edwards is a very good director. He also knocked out It Comes at Night a couple of years ago in Krishna. So good movie there. Let's see, director's commentary, the creating of the movie, Q&A with the director, some deleted scenes.
Yeah,
nice little package.
It's good stuff
there. Black and Blue. This is an interesting thing. So, Black and Blue, Naomi Harris film with Tyrese.
And this was for a moment, people thought this might be in the awards mix. I think it came out too early, but I also don't think it's quite there.
It's not quite there. Interesting thing. Now, look, I hate to put people in a box, but I'm going to put Dion in a little bit of a box right now, just for a second. Though Dion Taylor, director of this film, Dion Taylor is an African American director.
Yeah.
Now, you think about African American directors, you talk about prolific African American directors. Most people think about Spike Lee. Most prolific. No, it's Dion Taylor. Dion Taylor is the most prolific African-American filmmaker, and frankly, just sort of like filmmaker working in Hollywood today. This dude knocks out movies by the dozen. They're not always very good movies, but he knocks them out by the batch, and I gotta respect that because he, they're sort of name-ish movie. Dion Harris, Tyrese Gibson in this movie. Dion has, he has 3 films in post-production right now.
Oh my gosh.
Another one in pre-production. In 2019, he put out this film, another film called The Intruder, which was a pretty decent little film with Megan Good.
Yeah.
And then you go back to 2016, he put out 2 films in 2016. These are all feature films, people. This dude is making movies while he's making movies.
My goodness.
They're all perfectly serviceable films. None of them, he's not making Tyler Perry movies. They're all perfectly serviceable genre films.
Yeah.
So, working at the highest echelons, no. But making perfectly decent, watchable films with interesting talent.
Good on
Dion, get at it, son. Get at it. All kinds of special features on this. This was an okay movie except for one thing. There's not a believable moment in it. Good acting, right, but not a believable moment in it. There are about 1,000 things this sister can do to get herself out of this mess. She's being chased down by these crooked cops and these gangsters because she saw a murder in New Orleans. And I just keep thinking to myself, sis, steal a car and drive to Georgia. But whatever. we'll go with that. That's okay. Mob Town, another decent little movie here. That I rather enjoy. David Arquette bumping around this movie. It's a 50s sort of crime thriller, mafia gang members doing all kinds of stuff. It's a decent movie. David Arquette is an interesting guy to me. He's becoming a fairly decent actor again.
Yeah.
Because for years David just sort of like goofed his way around movies.
Yeah.
All those Scream movies and all that kind of stuff. And there was a moment when you thought, hey, David Arquette, maybe an actor from the Arquette family, but no. But you know what? He's decided that he wants to become a decent actor again. This is inspired by true stories. Also, a couple of special features on it, including a director's commentary. I think that a lot of folks thought we might be talking about this movie during this awards season. Didn't quite live up to the hype. Edward Norton's Motherless Brooklyn. Edward Norton, Bruce Willis, Guga Mbatha Raw, Alec Baldwin, Willem Dafoe. I don't know, man. The movie was an interesting movie to watch. I know that it is loosely related to Edward Norton's own grandfather, who during the period that guys like Robert Moses were building New York and running and designing that city, was involved in all of that. Alec Baldwin in this movie kind of playing a Robert Moses sort of figure. So, but in the character that Edward is playing is loosely based on his own grandfather, a fellow with Tourette's who was engaged in all of these sort of battles for what New York would ultimately come to be shaped like and look like. It's a very interesting story, but no, did not catch the interest of the Academy, and it's interesting, but it just didn't catch on. I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
The Addams Family. A couple of movies like that. That Richard Jewell movie, Clint's movie, just did not catch the interest of the Academy the way some might thought it'd be. The animated version of the Addams Family. Look, this is an origin story for the Addams Family, conceived and then executed in this fairly ordinary 3D animation. Bored the crap out of me. But you can come up with a better origin story for the Addams Family, particularly if you're going to do it in animation.
Do we need an origin story for the Addams Family?
No.
Like I was thinking of this, when the Addams Family, and it's a bit of trivia, the Addams Family and the Munsters as half-hour comedies in the 60s,
In the late 60s.
they actually began the same week. Their first episodes aired the same week, and their last episodes aired the same week, like 2 years later.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, exactly. It's like that trend ran aground with those two shows.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, what if they had a Munsters origin story? Do I want to see how Herman and Lily met? Do I want to see Herman getting down on his knees and asking Grandpa for Lily's hand? Well, only if he gets down on his knees and he breaks something, goes to the floor. Otherwise, I don't really care.
No, it doesn't.
I don't need that.
It's just a bunch of goofy shit somebody made.
Yeah.
Which it's already made up. Deleted scenes, extended scenes, blah 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 blah. That's the Addams Family animated feature there. Trauma Center. Bruce Willis.
That's all you need to say.
I don't even know what to say.
That's all you need to say
about what he has done to his career. I guess he's still making a pretty penny making these movies, but it really has it's just sort of reduced itself down to one of these after another.
It's one after another. Whatever you. I mean, look, he is still making millions on each of these.
Yeah,
it's a payday.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see the guy get an Oscar one day, but not at this rate.
I'd love to see him just be in a real movie again. I mean,
Just
look,
be in a
I guess
yeah.
he showed up in that M. Night movie, the third incarnation
Yeah.
of the thing. But
Glass.
Bruce, just be in a real movie. Don't pay $1 million. Sprinter from executive producers Jada and Will Smith. This is an interesting movie about a young man. This is a Jamaican sprinter. He has a mother. His mother has been living in the United States for a decade, supporting the family by sending money home to Jamaica. And it looks like he's going to be the next big sort of Jamaican sprinting star. He has his father who's a drunken sort of worker. He has his brother who's going to try to latch himself on. And it was one of those sort of dramas. Usain Bolt shows up in this.
Oh, fantastic.
Best performance, though, David Alan Grier playing the coach of the team. Just a really, 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 this is a very affecting and moving little movie.
Yeah.
I wish it would have been spread around a little bit more, but catch it if you can. From executive producers Jada and Will Smith, Sprinter, Rabbit.
The Saskia sisters.
Loosely based on Cronenberg.
Yeah. The Saskia sisters are kind of like the new horror thing that everybody wants to believe are going to be a thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're a thing.
No, Blumhouse without the Bloom.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If the Saskia sisters were the Saskia brothers making these exact same movies, nobody would care. But everybody's like, ooh.
And a lot of people would be offended.
Yeah. They're like, ooh, it's a couple of sisters, and they make really gory films. Why is everyone fascinated when women filmmakers make the same kinds of horrible bad movies that men make? I don't understand.
No, it's still a bad movie. This one is about this woman. She wants to be a clothing designer. A demure, sort of ordinary character involved in some sort of a horrible accident, mutilates her face. She takes some sort of treatment that fixes her face, makes her really pretty, but has other consequences.
Oh, there you go.
And Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Look, these were this. For those of you who think you've been watching a whole lot of these Jay and Silent Bob movies, they pop up in these little animated shorts
all over the place.
But look, Kev,
Stop
baby, cut it out. Just cut it out. All right. Anyway, somehow they talked Melissa Benoist, Supergirl.
Yeah.
And Ben Affleck and everybody who they know from their
got a lot of favors
to walk through this movie. And all right, look,
dear.
I guess it's cool that you're holding it down for the homies, but no.
So we got some 4Ks and some other new movies this week, and we got giveaways. So I'm going to merge. I'm going to go through from the 4Ks, which includes a lot of new stuff, and I'm going to kind of migrate from that. One of these is a giveaway. Migrate into some other giveaways, including a new movie. First off is the 4K of Zombieland Double Tap. It's been. Gosh, a decade since it was 2008 or something since the original Zombieland,
Which is ridiculous.
Here we go. It's a decade later, and we've got
and I like that movie, by the way.
Here's the thing.
Didn't need this one.
You don't need Zombieland Double Tap, but it's not terrible. No. It's just kind of the same drill. It's sort of like the Road Warrior of the Zombieland movies. Mm-hmm. The gang's still together, but, they've been around for a long time, killing zombies, all the different kinds of zombies that they've got to kill, like the slow ones and the fast ones and the sneaky ones and whatnot. And we're in Washington, D.C. now, right? We're breaking into the White House and hanging out in the White House to get away from zombies and all that kind of stuff. It's cute. Everybody's doing their shtick. They're doing the same thing. I will watch Emma Stone do absolutely anything.
Sure.
Okay? I will. I would rather not see Jesse Eisenberg do anything, so they cancel each other out for me. Abigail Breslin's all grown up, and her desire to be free and grown up is kind of the storyline here. She runs away and hooks up with some kind of weird, kind of hippie dude, and then there's like a sanctuary place where you're not allowed to bring any guns in because they're trying to sort of be peaceful and they think that they can live in peace and harmony with the zombie world or whatever.
Because that always works out.
That doesn't work out. But so I mean, there's some fun shtick here, but it's pretty much the same shtick. Some great cameos too. Rosario Dawson has a terrific cameo in here. But I'll tell you who makes this. Zoe Deutsch. Zoe Deutsch is hilarious, hysterical in this thing. She's a girl who has survived the zombie apocalypse and who kind of becomes the other woman now that Jesse Eisenberg and Emma Stone are on a break. Mm-hmm. She wears like these foofy pink outfits, and she's got her pink luggage. Woody can't stand her. She's a complete ditz, total dumb blonde stereotype, but she's hilarious.
Good.
She plays it up so beautifully. It's outrageous how funny she is. Zoe Deutsch just so fun and funny in this thing. So, Zombie Lab Double Tap, yeah, it's fine. Does it need to be on 4K? No. Does it even need to exist at all? No. But it's not terrible.
But it won't hurt you.
Doctor Sleep, the sequel to The Shining,
Man.
4K,
Yeah.
includes a director's cut,
Yeah.
which still isn't any good.
Yeah.
Why'd they do this?
No, bad idea.
It's a bad idea.
You know,
I don't get it.
So sometimes Stephen King makes mistakes with
Yeah.
the cinematization of his properties. You know, the book was, probably unnecessary as well.
I mean, a grown-up Danny, who cares?
Yeah.
Who
And
cares?
they do
It's like we're talking about like
honest
origin story of the Addams family.
Yeah,
This is equally
don't need that.
unnecessary.
Yeah, the sort of post. What happened 30 years later?
Yeah.
It's 30 years later.
I don't care.
And all kinds of weird stuff.
It doesn't
going
really
on.
work.
Yeah.
There are extras here, insignificant by and large for the whole thing. You get a digital code, and it's 4K. I guess if you want to see Ewan McGregor kind of chew it up a little bit, but it's totally unnecessary. And then also on 4K is Boyz in the Hood. John Singleton's first film, and still, I think, in many respects, his best film.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful, beautiful 4K. They did a great job, holding it down, giving it. I mean, when this was made, it was all shot in film, and it preserves that great film look. And some wonderful performances here. Cuba is just fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, when Cuba, that breaking down scene of him crying, still some of the best acting he has ever done on film.
Yeah.
Boyz in the Hood, real good film.
The movie,
really good movie.
The movie that gave us Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence
As
Fishburne.
opposed to Larry Fishburne.
And
that's the one where he changed his name.
Still one of the best things that Morris Chestnut's ever done, I think,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I mean, really just a terrific movie. And it made John Singleton the youngest ever nominee for Best Director.
Yep.
At the time, and it deservedly so. He has left us tragically last year, passed prematurely, but this film will be his legacy, and deservedly so. Really, a seminal film. Also includes a Movies Anywhere code, lots of extras on the Blu-ray, commentary with John Singleton that was recorded obviously for the original DVD release. And a lot of deleted scenes and interviews, audition videos of Ice Cube and Angela Bassett and more. And then on the 4K disc, there is also a John Singleton tribute that is really moving, and the original press conference and a few other things. It's a good 4K. It's worth checking out.
Yeah.
And then also on 4K, we're going to give away one of these. So email us at gods@digigods.com or gods@cinegods.com and put Arnold in the subject line and your name and address in the body of the email. Make sure that we get this by the 15th. This is all going to be February 15th. And we will we'll give you a good long time to get us emails, and then we'll pick a winner for the 4K Ultra HD of Terminator: Dark Fate. Now, I have to get into what I think of the movie. Terminator: Dark Fate, not terrible, but as we've been saying a lot this afternoon, not necessary.
No.
Didn't need this.
No.
I didn't need to see them get the band back together for.
Everybody's long in the tooth and looking. And I don't know. I just don't know why. Why do you want to leave me with this particular bad taste in my mouth about this?
I don't think you can squeeze any more out of the Terminator saga.
No.
Between the Sarah Connor Chronicles on television, and
did
all
Genesis
the movies
already, which reconceived the entire thing from the ground up.
There's only so much you can do with this. So a couple of twists in this that you might not expect, but otherwise it's really trying to sort of redo Terminator 2 with a bit of a feminist twist. Tim Miller, who did Deadpool, good director. I just don't think he's got a great script here. I just don't see the point. Looks great. Tons of featurettes. Bonus content galore. I just don't see the point. But we're giving one away. So send us one that says Arnold. Arnold in subject line by the 15th. Also, we're going to give away one of this. This is a Blu-ray, DVD, and digital code combo set of Harriet, starring the Oscar-nominated Cynthia Erivo. Story of Harriet Tubman. The film itself, I think she is really good in it. I think the film is pretty good. I'm thrilled to see Casey Lemons get a good directing shot again. I think she's deserved it for a long time, but I don't think they had enough money to make this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think I feel like another $15-20 million, you make the movie that you really want to make.
I have a number of issues with the film, including that. And things to do with the nature of the way the story of the story they chose to tell.
Yeah.
And how they laid it out.
They
So
made
like
it
a black,
small.
Yeah, it's just
They made it small and personal.
Yeah,
And I would have preferred something bigger and more epic.
Yeah.
But anyway, send us an email with Harriet in the subject line, name and address in the body of the email by the 15th, and we will pick a lucky winner to get a Blu-ray DVD combo set of Harriet, starring the lovely Oscar-nominated Cynthia Erivo, who will not win, of course, on Sunday, but she will definitely be back again. She's a terrific British actress, and she will be back. We got 3 other giveaways this week of things that we have already covered in previous weeks. So here they go. And this is all by the 15th. Get us emails by the 15th. Name and address in the body of the email, and then subject lines as I dictate. We're giving away 3 Blu-ray, DVD, and digital code combo sets of Downton Abbey, the motion picture. Just put Abbey, Abbey, in the subject line, and you will be one of the 3 lucky winners if we choose you of Downton Abbey, the motion picture. We are also giving away 2 copies of Will Smith in Gemini Man 4K Ultra HD, the super high-tech Ang Lee directed Gemini Man with Will Smith on 4K. Just put Smith, Smith, in the subject line, and we will pick by the 15th 2 very, very lucky winners of Gemini Man. And then lastly, I am very happy to announce we are going to be giving away 2 copies of the Beverly Hills Cop 3-movie collection, newly remastered on Blu-ray, to anyone who sends us an email by the 15th with Eddie in the subject line.
Now that's a lucky.
That will be so cool. Eddie should have been nominated this year, but he wasn't, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay, because Dolomite will live a lot longer than a lot of the stuff that was nominated.
Yeah.
So bravo, Eddie. We're going to give away 2 copies of those. And that's it. Let's jump into some other stuff.
Should we do TV, or are you going to knock off the rest of those movies?
Let's do some TV.
Let's do a little bit
Mix
of
it
TV.
up.
Let's see here. What do we got? We got a couple of different sets of Ballers. We have the complete series, and then we have the complete 5th season. So we have the complete 5th season of Ballers, but we also have the complete series of Ballers here. All kinds of neat stuff so far as special features are concerned on both. Look, if you're into the series about the NFL, former NFL player turned agent, and all of the wacky
I don't know where that guy finds time to do anything.
Dude, I cannot remember a time when a guy could have a major motion picture career.
Yeah.
And still do a... It's an HBO series, granted, but nevertheless, they'll still have a sort of series, so it's just amazing.
It's unreal.
It's absolutely amazing. But anyway, this is here for you, the complete series, plus the complete 5th season. This wonderful particular episode of the David Susskind series from the David Susskind archives. This is the interview he did with Russian Premier Nikita Khrushchev.
Crazy.
Absolutely fascinating stuff. October of 1960. Of course, Eisenhower was president. Kennedy, the election that would bring us Kennedy, was coming up. The Cold War was just raging, as it were. And the premier of the Soviet Union, the first one ever, comes to the United States of America to visit, and consents to do an interview with David Susskind. They sat down for 2 hours on Sunday, October the 9th, in New York City, and through an interpreter, had a long and raucous conversation. I've taught that. I've taught this in various different journalism classes over the years, so I've seen this entire interview many, many times. And I asked myself, in what context could something like this happen today with, Putin? or frankly, a whole bunch of different. But
wouldn't happen today.
Wouldn't happen today.
No.
Putin would never visit the United States today under any circumstance whatsoever. So it's a fascinating sort of archive of events that are not even thinkable today. J. Edgar Hoover was so upset about it that he actually had David Susskind investigated. Of course, J. Edgar had pretty much everybody investigated. So what the heck? Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Yeah.
I loved Hanging with
I'd
Mr.
forgotten
Cooper.
about this show.
It was just such a neat show. Mark Curry, of course, Holly Robinson Pete in this series from, I think, about 1992, if I'm not mistaken, created by Jeff Franklin. It's just about a high school basketball coach and teacher. It's one in a long lineage of high school set a television series, Saved by the Bell. You can go all the way back to Room 222. One of the creators of which, as we record this, Gene Reynolds, passed away this week, if I'm not mistaken. Also a creator of MASH.
Right, that's right.
One of the creators.
I saw that he was like 96 or something.
Yeah, 90 plus years old.
All these people who die now, Tim, you realize they are all in their 90s?
All in there, but you know what? Held it down for a long time.
They did, but that means that when we kick it, probably going to be about 115.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Which means my mother will be like 135 years old. But thoroughly love this series from the early 90s, Hanging with Mr. Cooper with Mark Curry. I wish they had put some special features on that disc. That would have been kind of neat. Let's see, what do we have here? The complete 5th season of a series called You. This was an interesting series. At the end of the day, it's still just a stalker series. It was about this guy who's following this young woman around the city. And as he sort of records in his diary his ideas about their relationship and his obsession with a relationship that doesn't actually exist. So they call it a romantic thriller, but I found it pretty damn creepy, frankly. Anyway, this is the complete series. The complete first season of the series, You.
Very cool.
Let's see here. Roswell, New Mexico reboot of the Roswell series.
Yeah.
With Claire. Yeah, look, but for the fact that this reboot happens to star a young Latin woman, a young Latinx woman, in that Cher Appleby role from many years ago. But for that, this again doesn't really actually need to exist. Now I'm going to go ahead and say fine because let's do that. Let's get the ethnic thing going.
Yep.
That's fine. So I'm not going to complain about it. But other than that, and the fact that they have better special effects because it's been 15 years since they did that, this doesn't actually need to exist. But nevertheless, this is the first complete season of Roswell, New Mexico. I don't know, based on a series of books, but it doesn't need to exist. But there it is. Duck Dodgers, the complete third season. You gotta love this. Porky Pig, to hilarity and beyond. You gotta love this series. Is Hero into this?
We have not introduced her to Looney Tunes yet. I've got to do it soon.
Be careful when you introduce children to Looney Tunes. They start hitting and smacking stuff.
Yeah, yeah. But we took her to see Cirque du Soleil for her birthday, and she just loved the slapstick bits. And so I think I'm going to introduce her to Chaplin first. Mm-hmm. Then Buster Keaton.
Yes.
Then the Looney Tunes stuff. I'm going to kind of ease my way.
That way she can see how these things actually are derived. It actually makes a whole lot of sense. I'm going to hold on to those two for a second and talk about just one of my favorite things on the planet, which would be anything to do with Doctor Who.
Yay.
I just can't help myself. So anyway, this is fantastic. The Doctor Who, the William Hartnell years, 1963 and 1966.
That's going deep.
The original Doctor, of course. Following him, Patrick Troughton, 1966, 1969. Gotta love that. Then we have our Colin Baker years, 1984 to 1986, and additional Colin Baker years, including 1984 to 1986, are to this set. These are just the fantastic. That's the Two Doctors series.
Yeah.
This is just all fantastic. Most of them have to do with the invasion of the Daleks and the very select series here. All of them are packed with DVD extras, including audio commentaries from various different folks associated with all of these different series over the course of the years. My favorite Doctor, of course, would be Tom Baker in the Tom Baker years, although I am partial to some of the more recent Doctors, including Peter Capaldi, which finished up a season a couple of seasons ago, and our new Doctor, the first female Doctor. Who's out there? But they've never really Doctors.
They've never really gone wrong. They keep finding interesting ways of keeping that show fresh.
Yeah,
it's kind of amazing to me.
I love my Doctor Who. The Mindy Project complete series.
Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed this series. I think this was one of the original Hulu series, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I think you're right.
And it really was very, very funny and sharp. Mindy Kaling, of course, from TV's The Office, wonderful comedian. Bonus features include deleted scenes and a number of gag reels.
Yes.
Why don't you knock off a few of those, White?
I will. Got 3 DVDs here. The first one is quite interesting. Now, this is a this is a documentary. This is our lone doc this week. This is called Betty Davis. They Say I'm Different. Now, this is not Betty Davis, the actress Betty Davis. This is which is Bette. This is Betty, Betty, who's like one of the funk pioneers of the 1970s.
Was once married to Miles Davis.
That's it. She was married to Miles Davis. She wrote songs for the Commodores, among others, and really kind of an amazing figure in the 1970s. She was one of the first major funk. Sorry,
yeah,
my voice is killing me. First major funk artist in the 1970s. Really kind of set the table for people like Rick James.
Mm-hmm.
She established a certain kind of performance art that predates Grace Jones.
Yeah.
It predates Madonna. I mean, she really was an incredible pioneer in so many ways. And at one point, she even just kind of cut loose all the handlers and handled her own career. She was her own manager, her own agent, everything.
Yeah, fantastic, big, gigantic fro. Absolutely gorgeous.
Amazing lady.
And,
really an amazing
she was
lady.
like part Sly Stone, part...
She wrote for Sly Stone, too.
Yeah, just this big, fantastic.
So, I mean, she has somewhat vanished from the history books, and this puts her right back front and center where she belongs. Really a fascinating figure, essential to sort of understanding what connects the music of the 70s to the music of the 80s, especially in the world of funk, which frankly, funk didn't go mainstream until the 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
So really a terrific documentary. We also have a mock documentary that ain't so terrific called
Oh my God, that
Mr.
movie.
America.
Look, I wanted to smack him. Of course, he kind of wants you to want to smack him.
Yeah, look, Tim and Eric, those guys, the Tim and Eric team. I am not a fan, but their first film that they did together, I just wanted to scream. I'd like to burn the negative. It was just an awful experience. I find them unbelievably unfunny. So they take another crack at it with Mr. America, which they wrote together, and it stars Tim Heidecker as himself running for district attorney of San Bernardino.
Yeah. After being acquitted of
murder,
and it's just ludicrous.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, it just isn't funny to me. But you know
because
what?
It's not funny.
Yet somehow these guys have a following.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
yeah.
I just don't get it. And then we've also got Mrs. Lowry and Son on DVD with Vanessa Redgrave and Timothy Spall. Why this was not a more significant film, I do not know. I do not understand. This should have been a big deal. These are two of the great British actors of all time, Timothy Spall and Vanessa Redgrave. It is based on the true story of L.S. Lowry, very famous artist, and his relationship with his mother. And it is deeply depressing, and it is codependent, and it is dysfunctional, and it's really, really sad.
Given the work that you've done with
Busby
recently,
seriously, it's like you look at this and you just think, my goodness, but what great performances. Should have been a bigger film. This should have been like really mainstream. I don't know why it wasn't. I don't know why this wasn't at festivals and whatnot, but really a superb discovery if you have a chance to find it. Vanessa Redgrave and Timothy Spall in Mrs. Lowry and Son. Really good. What else we got?
A couple of more TV things, including The first season of a Comedy Central series called The Other Two. Fairly interesting sort of take on contemporary social media dynamics. You have
Nice.
these two siblings, one of them an aspiring actor, the other trying to get herself together. They have a younger brother who's several years younger than them, who's 13 years old, and with little or almost no effort becomes a gigantic internet personality. Because frankly, you can do that nowadays.
Yep.
And it's starting to bug me. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It's starting to bug me.
Yep.
That some knucklehead who does something on the internet and gets 3 million followers suddenly gets cast in A-list movies and on television shows and all kinds. No, look, sometimes it doesn't bug me if they actually have talent. And the internet was simply the route for them to display an actual talent. I can act, I can sing, or whatever the hell it is. Okay, I can live with that. But very often, indeed more often, that's not the case. They simply become popular because they become popular, and the popularity is not reflective of any kind of talent. And yet they get these opportunities that they shouldn't be getting because they can't act and they don't have any talent, and it's just a matter of notoriety. Okay, I'm off my high horse. The other two happens to be about a sort of circumstance like that, which is really kind of funny when you think about it. No particular special features. Anne Frank, the diary of this is just an absolutely devastating account of the Anne
this is a
Frank,
very good one on
with
television.
Ben Kingsley. It was just absolutely beautiful. And I don't know what can one say about this story. No matter how many times told, no matter how many perspectives it's seen from, it never stops to be an absolutely at once uplifting and devastating story. Of this extraordinary person whose writing, by the way, I'm always amazed at such a young age what an astute writer she was.
Yeah.
Anne Frank. Anyway,
It's
absolutely
true.
beautiful. Great performance by Ben Kingsley there. Lost Cities with Albert Lynn, which is really an innovative, interesting series from the folks over at National Geographic. So Albert travels around the world, looking at mostly sort of archaeological sites and using all sorts of high-tech 3D scanning and all that kind of stuff. It looks into and explores everything that we can find out scientifically about places like Stonehenge or the Fortress of the Knights of Templar, the Ghost City of the Pacific, El Dorado, all kinds of neat stuff like that, but from a completely and totally scientific point of view. So this is not one of those series, about ancient aliens and myths or anything like that. This is science at work, explaining all kinds of wonderful things and discoveries all around the world. Lost Cities with Albert Lynn from the National Geographic series. Fantastic.
So we got the 6 movies left here that are all being released this week. 3 of them are worth mentioning. The other 3 not so much. 3 of them that are worth mentioning are not necessarily good. They're just worth mentioning. The first is The Nightingale from Jennifer Kent, who previously did The Babadook, who is really one of the great new writer-directors of horror and suspense films. The Babadook was a pretty cool debut.
Yeah.
And her new film is The Nightingale, which I think is even better. I don't know how accessible it is necessarily for some people, but I think she's got a huge future, and it's very, very cool. Very original story. It takes place in 1825 in Australia, when Australia, remember, was a prison colony. And it deals with this young woman named Claire, played by Aisling, I think is how you pronounce it. Aisling. Aisling Franciosi, who is this young Irish girl who's a convict, and she spent 7 years serving her sentence and thinks it's over. But it's not really over.
Yeah.
And that's when all hell breaks loose. And everything goes sideways in a really, really bad way. And how do I not reveal anything here? Boy, things go sideways in a big way. Let's just put it that way. This woman is not given justice. She's
supposed to be free after 7 years.
She's supposed to be free after 7 years, and then it just doesn't happen.
The guy won't let her go,
and it goes bad. It gets really bad. Really great performance here by an actor, a young Aboriginal actor, whose name I'm going to do my best to not mutilate, by Kali Ganambar, I think is how you pronounce it, by Kali Ganambar, who plays this Aboriginal tracker, and man, is he good. He is really unbelievably good. It's it's a very unusual film. It's a haunting film. It's beautifully, beautifully made. Really, really superb. Jennifer Kent, keep rocking it. We also have Last Christmas, which was supposed to be the big Christmas kind of quote-unquote romance movie. Romantic comedy with Emilia Clarke and Henry Golding, who are both really, really riding high. Emilia Clarke, obviously, from Game of Thrones, and Henry Golding from Crazy Rich Asians. Michelle Yeoh, also from Crazy Rich Asians, shows up in this. And this was co-written by Emma Thompson, who also shows up in it.
Paul Feig kind of doing
Paul
what he
Feig
does,
of Bridesmaids. I mean, is it a sweet film? Is it really kind of holiday saccharine? Yes. Is it the movie they marketed?
Wow.
No.
Wow.
It's not at all what they marketed. It's not at all what they're describing. It's they're calling it a romantic comedy. I don't know that it's really a romantic comedy. I don't know that it's romantic or comedic. Frankly, it's poignant.
Look, if you stick around to the end of it, it'll definitely get you in the heart,
Yes,
so to speak.
Yes.
But that means you got to stick around. Are there some witticisms? Sure. Emma is a witty writer, so there are these moments that will make you giggle. But it doesn't really all hold together. It has intentions or pretensions of Notting Hill meets what, I don't even know what. But no.
Yeah, Notting Hill meets I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Notting Hill meets something. We also have The House That Jack Built. Lars von Trier is now so excessive that his films have literally gone, no offense to the Shout Factory, Scream Factory people, we love them, but they would not normally have been the first stop for a Lars von Trier film. When most of the last several of his films went straight to Criterion, Criterion clearly passed on this one and said, you know what? We did the Antichrist thing. We did all your nonsense.
We stuck with you
but
as long
we
as we
cannot.
could.
We cannot.
Even
we just can't.
I have tapped out on Lars for this one. And this one, and he's doing a weird thing because this is full of big movie stars: Matt Dillon,
Bruno Ganz, the late Bruno Ganz,
Thurman, and
this had walkouts in Cannes. Like 2/3 of the audience walked out. I mean, it's just basically Matt Dillon plays a serial killer. And there are 5 vignettes, 5 episodes where he kind of takes you through the masterful artistic poetry of how he slaughters people. It's horrible. It's a horrible film.
It's okay.
It's just awful. It's just really awful. It's not artistic. I don't know what the problem is. It's just Lars has issues, and this is even more pretentious. It has a theatrical cut and the director's cut. The whopping difference between the two of them is like 48 seconds. I mean, what? Really? Are you kidding me? What's the? I don't get it. Like, anyway.
Hey, man, I've had Lars's back for almost 30 years now. I gotta give up the ghost.
It's just whatever. Anyway, I mean, I guess those 48 seconds is the difference between R and NC-17. I don't know. Whatever. A few others here that aren't terribly worth noting. One is a Blu-ray DVD combo set called Countdown. Which has one of those. I always like taglines every once in a while, and this one is particularly funny. Death. There's an app for that.
I remember that movie. Look, the dumb thing about that movie, I happened to cover that movie when we were on the show. It's this app. The app tells you
when you're going to die.
Now, and everybody's going around telling everybody, "Hey, man, there's this app. You download this app. You look, it'll tell you when you're going to die." And then people do it, and I'm like, "Look." Even because this is perfectly ridiculous, but even in the context of the ridiculousness of it, I still wouldn't download the app.
No.
So I would never find out whether it's true or not because that's moronic.
Even in The Ring, they find some sensible ways of convincing people to watch the damn video.
Why do I download an app
it's nonsense. Anyway, but it has an Apple TV code included, so, knock yourselves out. We got a dumb comedy with John Cena called Playing with Fire, which is a Blu-ray DVD.
That was so dumb that it struck to me as slightly funny because it was so stupid.
It's so stupid. I mean, this is the kind of movie that would have been like a John Candy or a Dan Aykroyd movie in the 1980s or early 90s or something. And they just throw some, basically, an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. This would have been Arnold in the kindergarten cop era.
John Leguizamo was basically playing a wind-up toy in that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I kept looking for the little slot in his back.
And Keegan-Michael Key shows up for comic relief, which is what he's been doing a lot lately, is showing up in movies that aren't funny and making them funny just by the fact of being in them. So I really, Keegan Michael Key, please,
Better be careful with that.
Get your buddy,
Wow.
get your buddy from TV
Yeah.
to put you in one of his real movies.
Yes.
That's the way it needs to work. We want Key and Peele back together again. Tell Jordan, dude,
Put me in
throw
a
me a bone,
Zone. Yeah.
put me in something. Anyway, yeah. I mean, it's a silly kitty slapsticky. It's like Home Alone in a fire station. I don't know how else to put it. It's just it's like
exactly Home Alone and Fire Station. That's better writing than is in that whole movie.
Yeah. Anyway, it's
That's
nonsense.
better writing than it's in that whole movie.
And then we've got Nicolas Cage in Primal.
Oh, vey.
I know it's a Blu-ray. I mean, I cut him so much slack every time he'll make something kind of real, and then he'll make like 10 really bad movies.
Yeah.
Here he plays a trophy hunter, and he's killed a jaguar, and thinks that it's just gonna be another one of his gigs. And it winds up, getting him stuck in some kind of horrible international intrigue thing that makes absolutely no sense. And it's dumb. It's just dumb. I don't know who writes this stuff or gets it funded. I don't really understand.
Look, man, if you put together enough money, you can buy yourself Nicolas Cage in a movie.
That's true.
And if you can buy Nicolas Cage in a movie, they'll let you make a movie.
Yeah.
It's this insane loop. But there it is.
Anyway. Yeah. All right. Well, wrap out things real quickly. Also from some classic stuff, Tom Shadyak's Dragonfly with Kevin Costner from 2001. Not particularly good, not particularly terrible. It's just kind of a generic thriller it's like a late stage 90s thriller. We had a lot of thrillers in the 1990s. From Fatal Attraction, and then from the 80s into the 90s, everything from Fatal Attraction all the way to whatever, fill in the rest.
Yeah.
This is kind of on the tail end of that line. They were all written by Joe Esterhaaz too. It seems like.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, so yeah, this is a guy whose wife has died, and then these mysterious clues emerge, and did she really die? Maybe not. Yeah. And so now we have to get into little Hitchcockian twists and turns. It's not. Shadyak is a guy who's known primarily for his comedies,
Jim Carrey.
With Jim Carrey, and then he's kind of come back to drama a little bit. And this is it's a middling film for his effort. It's on Blu-ray finally at long last. So anybody who remembers it. We also have a boxed set from Kino Lorber of British Noir 2, a 5-film sequel Blu-ray, not Blu-ray, DVD set to the British Noir 1. This is 5 more kind of unsung, unknown British noirs, primarily from the 1940s and 50s. And they include The Uninterrupted Journey, Time Lock, The Vicious Circle, Cosh Boy, and Time Is My Enemy. Among other things, you see some very, very young, wonderful British actors in here, including Joan Collins, looking unbelievably, staggeringly beautiful. It's really, really dazzling. Time Lock might be my favorite of all of these. It's a really, really interesting concept about a guy who is accidentally sealed into a bank vault. Yeah. And there's a time lock on it, and there's only so much oxygen, and it's a great claustrophobic thing. But all of these are really, really interesting. Time Is My Enemy is also really, really good, and The Vicious Circle has a lot of interesting stuff. John Mills is in that one, and it's got Wilfred Hyde White as well, and a lot of fun stuff here. So that's really cool. Joan Collins, by the way, is in Cosh Boy and is probably the only really great thing about it.
Yeah.
But and then lastly, interesting collection of stuff from the Warner Archive collection. We have Natalie Wood in Penelope, which is just a delightful film. Used to get caught a lot of flack over the years. Penelope did, as being kind of an exploitative entry in Natalie Wood's filmography, but I think it is absolutely delightful. I think it's just a really, really fun kind of capery thing. It's got Dick Shawn and Jonathan Winters. They're hilarious in it. Ian Bannon is great. Peter Falk is great. It's just a wonderful, wonderful cast. And the title tune is great, by the way. It's a famous, famous song. A lot of people don't even know that it comes from this movie, but it's really, really good. Also from Warner Archive is Jane Russell in Howard Hughes' Underwater, which is basically kind of a cheesy underwater thriller, but it's got Richard Egan and it's got Jane Russell, and she's showing off her body, and Richard Egan is showing off his.
Yeah.
And why the hell not? You
Hell
know?
yeah.
John Sturges directed it. Ace director John Sturges of the Great Escape. We also have Two on a Guillotine, which is a pretty fun film. Produced and directed by William Conrad. Good little kind of a creepy thriller that deals with magic and a guillotine trick, and it's pretty well done. Dean Jones and Connie Stevens. There's some fun stuff in here. Cesar Romero is so eerie in this thing.
And William Conrad directing, man.
I know, right? Yeah. And then the unfairly maligned remake of Cimarron. Cimarron was one of the first Best Picture winners, and it was, it's a big Western. It was remade in 1960, all about the big Homestead march across Oklahoma in 1889. And it was an epic when it was made in black and white. And this one is, they're based on the famous Edna Ferber novel. And this was a big MGM, remake, and it really got slammed, and I think rather unfairly. It's interesting. Anthony Mann directed it. Glenn Ford and Ann Baxter have really, really great parts in it. And, it doesn't have all the same weaknesses as the original. Well, the book had weaknesses. It's not a great novel, but it's fun. And it's a good, solid Western for the era. So I would check it out. Maria Schell, Russ Tamblyn even shows up in this. It's pretty great. Vic Morrow, the late Vic Morrow from Combat and the Twilight Zone movie. So the MGM film Cimarron from the Warner Archive collection on Blu-ray as well. So with that, we are done this week. And you know what? We'll be back next week talking about Oscar postmortem. Let's see what happens. It's going to be an interesting year. History will be made no matter what happens. Trends will be shattered. It will be a history-making night. We can't wait to see what happens. We'll see you next week.